And I said, and if none of you want your father, put him in the box with me. I said, but maybe don't tell the funeral home. I don't know if that's legal, whatever.
Isn't it?
Is it?
You're cool.
Ask the funeral director.
Yeah, true.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Farewelling the Podcast. I'm Karen Bussin, and I'm here today with three lovely and wonderful ladies. First off, you might know her already. She's our farewelling funeral guru and my friend, Elizabeth Karansky.
Hi, Karen. This is going to be a good one.
And this is going to be a good one. And so Liz today has brought along what can only be described as the two Trishes. The first Trish who's with us is actually Liz's own mother. Welcome, Trish, Liz's mom. And the other Trish is Trish, Liz's mom's best friend. Welcome to you.
Delighted to be here.
So what I think is so fabulous about this conversation we're going to have today is it's all about women, although men are certainly welcome, but it is a mother-daughter conversation as well as a conversation between girlfriends. By the way, as I always tell everyone, it's impossible for me not to serve some sort of treats because I believe if you're going to talk about death, you deserve a treat. And so we have a lovely bowl of fresh fruit because we know we have health-conscious eaters with us today.
Gotta keep them alive.
Yeah. Oh, God.
At least for 45 minutes.
Till the end of the podcast.
Oh, here we go. So we do have some fresh fruits, but then also I thought, just as a special pampering treat, let's have perhaps a moisturizing hand mask. You know, just so that we're making good use of our time. We may be talking about death, but we're also having spa treatments. So I've brought along some hand moisturizing masks from Sephora.
Brilliant.
So let's go ahead and open those up. Give them a try. Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, they're gloves.
Okay, so while you guys are figuring it out, let me ask you, since I know you are longtime friends, what are your favorite things to do together?
Gossip.
Mostly. I mean, we go out for dinner. We go to the movies, theater.
Really bad shows.
And generally, we have a theater membership, a subscription, and if you asked us what we saw last year, we wouldn't be able to tell you because we don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them was good. We saw The Ferryman, but that wasn't in the subscription.
The nice thing about not remembering is that we can go over and over again to the same show.
And it's
Yeah.
new. It's like Groundhog Day.
Okay. All right. How did those feel?
Pretty
How did
much
those gloves feel?
good.
Fine, except I put them on the wrong hand.
Now you can't move your hands for the next 40 minutes.
We live a half a block away from each other. We work in the same place.
And sit next to each other.
How long have you been friends?
10 years?
We probably got real friendly after Andy died, which was about 7.5 years ago. 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when we sat next to each other.
And we sat next to each other at work. And then,
All
you know,
right.
we'd walk home together and stuff like that.
Did you two actually attend each other's husbands' funerals?
Yes.
I did not go to yours because I didn't.
Oh,
I'm
why?
sure you lied.
I
Didn't
know. I didn't have any
don't lie.
details.
Yeah. No,
Yes,
don't-
No,
I
because I
went to
found
her
out about it
husband's.
after the fact. Pat told me. Yeah, you came to my. Yeah, and I hadn't seen you in a while, and all of a sudden I turn around at the wake and you're standing there. And I remember saying to her, I've wanted to talk to you so badly because my husband didn't want anyone to know he was sick.
Wow.
So it was just me and my children, you know, who knew?
Yeah.
Which was fine with him, but it's
And I
killing
took a
us.
year off from work when my husband was sick.
Okay.
I didn't. I kept working.
So nobody saw me for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's the
wow.
same story. I mean, both of your husbands didn't want the world to know
Yeah,
they were sick.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you look back on that time, like after your husband's passed, did you find that it changed your role in your family?
I think I was less available for my children
Okay.
because I spent so much time. My husband didn't want anyone to know. His law firm knew because he was in the hospital quite a bit. And attorneys, young attorneys would come and sit with him and go over cases. But he didn't want clients to know. Along with that, some clients were friends, so he didn't want friends to know. But when he was working, I drove him to work every day at around 10 and picked him up every afternoon at around 4.
Mm-hmm.
So my time was his.
Mm-hmm.
dinner we had as a family, but I think I was less available to my children than I had been previously because my day was really consumed with chemotherapy,
Yeah.
hospital visits.
Of course, yeah. Liz, do you remember that time?
Oh, absolutely. We were older. My brother was in law school at the time, so he wasn't exactly a toddler needing to be picked up, and I was in college.
Okay.
So it just sort of became a way of life. For my dad, it was a bump in the road.
Mm.
It wasn't a serious, if you called it what it was, that was too serious.
Mm-hmm.
This was, each hospital stay was the last one.
Mm-hmm.
It was just sort of a tune-up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you called it going in for chemo and I'm staying in the hospital for a week while I
Yeah.
recover, that's sick.
Yeah. So it's a way of like perceiving oneself as well as thinking of what other people might.
Right, and he had lung issues, and if you said to him, how do you feel, or what happened at the doctor, he'd say the lungs of a 14-year-old. Like, well, I don't think so.
14-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Which is something we still joke about to this day, is if anyone's sick and coughing.
It's the lungs of a 14-year-old. My father died when I was 23, and my mom was just turned 50. My mother was a role model. I don't think consciously.
Mhm.
She just went on. She would say to me, it's the death that's traumatic, but it's how you handle it. And now it's, time to get on with life.
Mhm.
I mean, she was typical of an Italian person. She wore black for 2 weeks. She probably would have worn it for a year. And I just said to her, you're really depressing me, enough of this. But my father's funeral was more somber. My father was 52.
Oh, wow.
So when my husband died at 60, it was almost like I was ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want it to happen. I was very cavalier and thought it would never happen because I gave. But my mother said, you pick it up and just go on. And what you do is take care of the children. I felt a little more responsible as a single parent
Yes.
to always be around for them.
Mm-hmm.
I was always asking them, I think annoyingly, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to help you? How can I get you
Yeah.
through all this?
And how did that feel, Liz, when she would ask you?
It was annoying. No, it was, you said to me at one point, I remember a friend of mine had invited me out to her house for the weekend. And I just really didn't want to go. And my mom said, are you not going because she has a father? And I thought to myself, what?
Yeah.
You're kidding me. Am I not going to be friends with people who have fathers? like that hadn't even occurred to me. Should I not be friends with people who have dads?
Oh my gosh.
And so it was kind of moments like that of, no, I just really don't feel like going. I think we very naturally were talking quickly.
I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how the death of your husband's might have affected your way of looking at your own mortality.
I don't know if it affected my own mortality as much as I'm kind of a laid back person. I mean, I certainly wasn't getting all worked up and stressed about things, the little things in life. I mean, I never really let much of that. Sometimes I'd let things get to me, but not that much. I mean, I think because, we both went through illnesses with our spouses. Certainly if we get sick, we know what's ahead, but not really.
My mother died 2 years before my husband, and I'm not going to say she chose death, but there were certain options, chemotherapy and blood transfusions, and she said to me, I'm 83 years old, I've led a life without being sick, and this isn't for me, and she refused treatment. And I thought it was really courageous. And I think that changed my attitude towards death. It's like, she wasn't afraid.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Daddy was either, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't want to really talk about it. Anytime he had something going on, whether it was a transplant or chemotherapy, he would say to me, well, here we go. I'm either going to be okay or I'm going to get dead. Okay.
Verbatim.
So the people who I've witnessed deal with this have not been afraid of death. They haven't openly really talked about it, but it was not, my mother didn't cry and say, I'm dying. She said, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up fearing death, and I don't.
Mm.
I'm not saying I look forward to it,
Of
but
course.
it's not something that I fear.
Yeah. Wow.
It's like the next adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, could be.
Truly.
We don't really know.
Nobody
So
knows.
exactly.
And-
Nobody knows.
And we're all going there, so...
We're all going there.
Mhm.
We're all going there. Of course, Liz has told the story on the podcast about how she came to her current, not just profession, but her vocation, because it really is for her a passion. And listeners, you can check out that episode of the podcast if you want to hear Liz's whole story. But basically, after your father, your husband, passed away, she found herself wanting to work in the
Mhm.
funeral home. And I was just wondering, like, when you first heard about that, how did that go down? Like,
Oh.
how was...
God, I couldn't believe it. She had come to me when her dad died and said that she wanted to plan his funeral. And I thought, that's fine. If that's something that she has to do, if it's cathartic, whatever it was, go for it. So I wasn't really sure what to expect. I had gone with her to the funeral home just to make arrangements, but I walked in and John Coltrane was playing instead of the Ave Maria. And when we left, it was the Rolling Stones.
Mm.
And she said to me, I gave Daddy the send-off he wanted. And I thought, yeah, she did, because I would have done it differently. And then about 2 weeks later, someone called her and said, I was at your dad's service, and not a close relative, but someone died, and, how did you handle all of this? How did you pick music? Whatever. She said to me, I'm really good at this. I want to pursue a career in it. And I thought she was crazy. And I said to her, why would anyone want to be around dead people and people in mourning? Not everyone is going to be as light about this. How could you do this? And she said, can I just try? She'll get it out of her system. Clearly, it's not out of her system. And she's compassionate and has strong feelings about this. I still don't understand it. She would come home and say to me, let me tell you about this family. Do I really want to know about this family? And she would say they were upset. And I asked them, tell me stories about your dad. Tell me stories about your husband. She said, and, a half hour into it, we were all laughing together. And I said, you're bringing him to life. I get him and I get your family. And I guess that comforted you. That then became her career, her passion. So I listened.
Yeah. And so
I promised I would quit after business school.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
well, I'm sure glad you didn't.
Yeah, me too. Two
So-
of us at this table are.
There you go. So, well, a question for the other Trish. When you heard that her daughter was either going to be or was a funeral director, what did you think about that initially?
Sometimes she'd tell me about different funerals, or things that the family had asked for. Certainly no names. It was all confidential. And I thought, what fun. I mean,
Certainly
really,
different.
you're making the family, you're giving them what they want
Yep.
instead of just gloom and doom. I thought it was great.
Do either of you believe in the afterlife,
What do you mean by the afterlife?
whatever it means to anyone?
I believe there's something.
The same. I believe there's something. I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Okay.
I want to haunt my family.
I was
Well,
about to say
hello.
that.
And I'm like, well, what age am I going to be and how thin will I be? You know? What color's the hair going to be? Will I have wrinkles?
Hey,
Is there Botox in heaven?
Exactly. And will it hurt? Do I have to pay for it?
hey, there's this amazing episode of this TV show called Black Mirror. And it's kind of like that, where you can sort of sign up. It's like a subscription to be your essence or your soul or whatever is transported into like a virtual reality where you can be kind of whatever you want. And it's pretty amazing.
That would be fun.
So, yes,
Yeah.
it is a mystery.
What are the
at
clothes
point.
like?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty much a lot of 80s style, which of course.
You still have yours. So you're ready to
I
go.
can just bring them with me.
Shoulder pads for eternity.
Well, okay, speaking of what you would bring with you,
I'd bring with me.
they always do say that
swear.
you can't take it with you, right? But if you could pack for the afterlife, what 3 items would you bring?
Hold on, I would steal my mom's suitcase before she can take
And go through it?
I totally steal it.
Well, my shoe size has changed as I've gotten older.
Okay.
So if I was guaranteed that I could have things that fit, I wouldn't even bring clothes. I'd bring 2 pairs of shoes and a fabulous handbag.
Okay.
Don't you
'Cause it
like
goes with
cashmere
everything.
sweater and pants to be cozy?
I would think they'd provide something.
It's heaven. It's everything you
Well, it's
want.
probably a perfect temperature.
It's like one of
For
those gyms
everyone.
where you show up and they already have outfits.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, they
Yeah.
wouldn't want me
Oh,
to
yeah.
walk around with all my
Go to
wrinkles
Golden Door.
showing.
Or if it's heaven, maybe there's just amazing stores where you get
Spas,
to
yeah.
pick what you want and it's all
And you
free.
don't pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all free.
What fun.
Okay, the same question for the other Trish. What would you bring with you?
Well, my feet are in terrible shape now, so I probably, and I loved heels.
Okay.
The higher the better. I'd probably bring 3 pairs of shoes, 3 pairs of stilettos that I haven't been able to wear for the last 30 years.
We would both bring shoes.
It's amazing. I love it. What would you see yourself wearing if you thought about like final fashion? Would you be super dressed up?
Probably. I'm a pretty dress, probably something pink and sparkly.
How would you like to be remembered 100 years from now?
The color yellow. That's my favorite color. Everything has to be yellow. Actually, I don't have yellow on today, which is
I know you
surprising.
and I are kind of like
Yes.
coordinated here.
But I am obsessed with the color yellow. Anything yellow drives my attention. I always said that I want a joyful death because I probably lived everything that I wanted to live.
This is the life that I want to live. If I die tomorrow in a plane crash, everybody knows that I have died doing what I love the most.
Let's talk a little bit about your own farewellings. What are the details that would be like must-haves or definite no-nos at your farewellings?
Well, my husband was cremated. He's in my den in a box on a shelf.
So both of you have your husbands still
Yeah.
in your apartments. Just
Actually,
pointing
when-
that
when
out.
the-
What are we going to do with them?
It's my kids. You know.
It's a good question.
I'd rather be buried than cremated. I don't know why. And I said, you can get me a plot up near my parents. And I said, and if none of you want your father, put him in the box with me. I said, but maybe don't tell the funeral home. I don't know if that's legal, whatever.
Isn't it?
Is it?
You're cool.
Ask the
Whatever.
funeral director.
Yeah, true.
For the right
And-
price, anything's possible.
Exactly. And I would just want, I still go to church. I love the music at the church I go to. I don't know the names of the songs, but maybe I should start writing them down. Keep a
Well.
running list, my playlist. And afterwards, I want a big party. I am Irish Catholic, so there's going to be lots of booze.
I love it.
Doesn't have to be that much food.
What would be
We're-
your signature cocktail?
Well,
Like
it's
something
funny.
you love.
I've been drinking wine for a while just because it's not fattening, But all of a sudden lately I realized I'm X years old. Why am I denying myself mojitos and margaritas and all this kind of stuff?
Oh,
So
amen.
I was out for lunch with some of my kids. This was Mother's Day, and I had an espresso martini. And they're all like, what? I said, it's delicious. It's like dessert.
I love this so much, and I actually think the point you just made is going to be helpful to so many people.
Yeah, why am I denying myself this? All right, if I blow up to 800 pounds, my doctor will say,
I've never seen you deny yourself. Let's just get that straight.
I do that at home.
Hey,
Espresso martinis all around.
They're delicious.
and you had me at mojitos and margaritas, and by the way, you actually had me at wine also, so
Yeah, well,
kindred spirits. So that sounds like a traditional farewelling in terms of,
Yeah.
the church aspect of it. You know that you'd like to be buried. You love the beautiful music, and then just a
big party.
great party for all the people that you love.
Church and drinks.
Have you written this down or
I
told
have
anyone?
not. I've told them that I don't want to be cremated, that I would like to have a funeral and be buried. But I have to. I mean, I've written down where everything else is.
So what about your farewelling?
I think I'm lucky because I have a funeral director in the family.
A red
true.
lacquer
And
casket.
I've told her I want a red
Oh,
lacquer
wow, yeah.
casket. I know what I want for the lining. I want cable knit cashmere. But I haven't decided on which color would make me look good,
Wow.
even though I want it closed.
Probably pink.
Not bad, right?
Yeah.
Like a
Good
soft
glow,
pink?
amber.
Because you're going to
Yeah.
be pale. It'll give you a little rosy glow.
Yeah, I love that.
I'd like a church service because I'm Italian Catholic. But I don't know if the organ could play Tina Turner.
I guarantee you there's an organist out there who can play that,
We
and
just
Liz can find
discussed
them.
that literally yesterday. Karen said to me, "What does your mom want?" I said, "A red lacquer casket, cable knit cashmere."
You also said the
and
Weather
Tina-
Girls and Tina Turner.
yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it. I mean, if it could rain men, I'd be thrilled.
Is that not exactly what I said?
Yeah, it is exactly what you said. Yes, it is.
I'd like a party, but I don't want it to be any kind of a memorial. I want it to be a celebration because it's been fun.
Now I'd like to shift the focus to the lightning round. Tacky or to die for? Open casket versus closed casket. Tacky or to die for?
I think they're tacky. Open, I think is,
Yeah, we agree.
yeah.
Showing extreme emotion at a funeral. You know, people who climb up on the casket and
Oh, ridiculous.
Oh, God, tacky.
Very tacky.
I've had it in my family when my
Sobbing and
grandmother
throwing
died.
themselves
Right.
on the thing.
dressing people for a cremation.
Oh, well, I did that.
I think it's unnecessary, but I did it. And when my husband's grandfather died, he had a pair of very light beige Gucci loafers that he never wore. And I don't know where they came from. But before he died, he gave them to my husband and said, "These are for you because they never fit me." And my husband didn't like them. I mean, they were a strange color. But when my husband died, I put the Gucci loafers on. I didn't know what to do with them. So
Oh, my
I thought,
gosh.
a little bit of his grandfather. And then we had a closed casket. So he was there in his suit and his light beige, horrible Gucci loafers.
Well, do you want to say why he was in those and not his other shoes?
We couldn't bury him in his other shoes because they were really, really special.
They were too nice, and my brother happens to be the same size as my dad.
Okay.
They disappeared.
My husband had a couple
See,
of
you
pair
know, this final fashion thing is a lot bigger than you think it is.
Exactly.
Making jewelry out of your loved one's ashes.
Yeah, not my thing.
Oh,
I think
no.
it's tacky.
How could you make jewelry out of ashes?
They
You
can
can.
compress it
Really?
into
Oh,
something
like
that.
diamonds.
Like
Yeah,
eight
no, I think
diamonds.
it's tacky.
Prayer beads.
How about telling jokes in the middle of a eulogy?
Oh, I think it's great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's to die for. And
Okay.
It's necessary.
I think I already know the answer to this one, but playing different kinds of music at your farewelling. So if you like disco, or if you like rock and roll, if you like even hip hop, tacky or to die for?
Oh, I think
Personalizing
I think it should be
Oh, yeah.
personalized.
If you could write your own epitaph, just thinking about how you'd like to be remembered, what would that one phrase be?
That's hard because I'm
Yeah.
been toying with a few of them. One of them, of course, is that, as I said, I'd want to haunt my children. So I think
Seriously.
I'm watching you. The other, I have said to many people over the years, if you don't know what it is, it's jealousy.
Well, I've always said my mantra is, who cares? And it really has been. And I at one point at work, the office manager was like, you have to care. I said, I care. But, I've told the kids in my office, I said, it's a job. That's why they call it a job. Calm down, whatever is going on. And I just, as I say, I'm a little laid back. I don't get that worked up about stuff.
Recently, I've been reading this really great book called Women Rowing North. It's a New York Times bestseller by Mary Pfeiffer, and it's about women looking at not the last chapter of their lives, but a later part of their lives and thinking about things. And she has a quote that I think is really neat, and I wanted to ask you about it. And she says, "At 70, I'm more content with my life as it is. Many nights I go to sleep thinking that if this were the last day on earth for me, I'd be happy with how I spent it. If I knew I only had 1 week to live, I don't believe I would change much on my schedule." I was just wondering if being in a similar period of your life, do you feel that way yourselves, or do you still feel like there would be a lot of things you would change?
I wouldn't want all the physical things that would come with age. Bad knees, sore feet.
I would change
kind
my
of stuff.
eating habits. I'm a very healthy eater.
Yeah.
But what did Damon used to call me?
You're a frat boy.
A frat boy, because I go on binges. Not drinks. For me, it's food. So whoopie pies, Malamars, and oh my God, Doritos. Not the fancy ones,
No,
just
the real-
the original
Yes.
Doritos.
Amen.
And I will die happy.
Well, ladies, first off, I just want to thank you so much for doing this and for being here with us today. And now let's remove those gloves and just see how those hands. Oh, wow.
Impressive.
God, they're
They
30
look
years younger.
very smooth.
The hands of a 14-year-old.
That's right.
Well, I just want to thank you for moisturizing with us and for talking about death here on Farewelling the Podcast.
No, thank you.
Loved it. Thank you very much. It was
Thank you,
fun.
guys.
Trish and I always wanted to do a podcast.
That's absolutely.
Did you guys even know what a podcast was before?
No,
you
not
came here?
really. But
I did.
But we thought we had a lot to say. We were wondering if there was anyone who would listen to us.
And with a podcast, it's not like we're going on stage.
Right.
You never know after this.
And well, that's true.
Well, that's it for this episode of Farewelling. If you like the podcast, please subscribe and rate us on Apple Podcasts. It'll help other people find us. And share with your friends. Until next time, live every moment like it could be your last.